Wonderful. Well, welcome to GiveThx. My name is Amy Alomar. We're excited to have you with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about what we do here. I welcome any questions in the Q&A. Also, you are welcome to send chat messages to me or to the group, up to you. We're going to review what we do at GiveThx and the offerings that we have, and we'll offer you some free tools you can take with you right after the webinar. We are recording this, so you are welcome to watch this or share it with a colleague after the fact as well. We're going to start by talking about the benefits of gratitude and just probably a review for most of you who are here. We're going to talk about the challenges of returning back to school, especially as COVID is making a resurgence. We just are being mindful that people are coming back to live settings, to virtual settings, to hybrid settings. And then we're going to explore our program and some practices that you can use in your learning community. I'll actually just flip back there, and please do encourage you to follow us on Twitter and interact with us. We have a special users group on Facebook and on Instagram in case you want to stay connected with us. We would love that. So let's talk a little bit about the disconnect that we're all feeling right now, coming from a year of most likely virtual or hybrid situations with a lot of uncertainty, and moving into some more uncertainty where we thought maybe we were going into a regular school year. There's probably a lot of disappointment and frustration. So I'd love for you to just share with us, and you're in the chat, either publicly or just to us, what's something that you feel has been lost in your learning community during the last year? And while you're doing that, I'll just introduce my colleague. Our co-founder, Mike, has just joined us. And so we're excited to have him, and he'll also be on the Q&A and the chat with us. So you may be hearing from him or me as you interact with us today. So we know, we've heard back from users that, things that have been lost in their community are the connections we make face-to-face, eye-to-eye contact. A lot of the casual checking in on somebody's well-being has been lost, and also the connectedness with colleagues, in the hallway, just kind of catching up because we're wearing masks if we are live, or perhaps we're not even in the building together. And that's a lot takes a toll on our social emotional learning, especially for our students. So we know here at GiveThx, and you likely know because you joined us today, that gratitude has an incredible impact on us as people. We know the research shows us that there is an increase in a sense of belonging, our relationships, our social skills, happiness, resilience, and motivation, and surprisingly, for some people, academic performance too. So we know that gratitude has these positive impacts. Also, we know that it's shown to decrease stress, anxiety, depression, and disconnection. And so we want to promote it as much as we can in a natural setting where you can have a regular practice. So we know that if we work on the well-being part with our students, they will naturally be better learners. They will be more together with their classmates. They will be better poised for project-based learning, and they'll be better to communicate with us. We need to teach them the skills to bring them to that. So we want to recognize their positive behaviors. We want to teach them how to recognize that in their peers and in us, and have them learn how to say thanks for behaviors and for things so that they can develop that truly regular practice. They need to understand what gratitude is, and they need to be able to recognize the actual skills they're grateful for before they can actually do it. And that's what we teach them to do at GiveThx. So, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our tool now. And so some of you had said in here that you hadn't yet used GiveThx, or you were new to the program. So I want to make sure that you understand what we do here. And after that, we'll share some specific practices that you can use with or without our software. So our program really is threefold, right? We have a curriculum, and we have a software and professional development. That's our program. And we share that with you so that you can work on that practice of gratitude and help kids understand how to develop those social emotional skills. We work with students and staff. So we help you to develop staff well-being through gratitude practices with your staff and colleagues, and directly with your students, and then student to student as well. We can be used within a class, and we can be used school-wide. We are designed to be school-wide, can be district-wide. And what we do is we use this student-centered approach, so it can grow slowly from class to class and build over a grade, or it can start with a whole school and then break down into different classes, whatever works best for your learning community. We know that when you are rooted in an advisory or a homeroom, you tend to have more of a regular practice. So let's look at the components of the program. We have a curriculum here. This is our scope and sequence. So you would have access using GiveThx to this curriculum. It's a 3-year curriculum designed for elementary, middle, and high school. And you can see we go through different themes for each unit, focusing on specific social emotional competencies throughout. Year 1's theme is on community, Year 2 on identity, and Year 3 on agency. So really focused on the student-to-student connection in the beginning, growing on how they develop themselves, and then how they can affect change in their community. Here's an example, just a sample lesson that comes from the unit based on developing relationships, just to show you that each lesson is just a very quick and simple, intended to be about 10 minutes for the class. And so you can implement this regularly. And they each come with a pretty standard guiding lesson. And then also we connect you to a slide deck and the competency, an example of the competency being highlighted there. So that's just an example of what one lesson in one of these units looks like. Each unit is 4 lessons. Again, please feel free to ask questions along the way if I'm going too quickly, or you want to know exactly, some more context around what we're talking about. So this is our practice guide, and these are basic practices that allow you to use GiveThx in a very quick and meaningful way, either as an add-on to a class or within that advisory. We use many of these practices within the curriculum itself. So these are quick and easy practices. To give you a sense of what they look like, you might consider your learning community. You might have specific routines like a check-in or a check-out, maybe attendance. Maybe you do activity process checks after group work, or you have morning meeting or an end of the week kind of gathering, maybe even with your staff. And you think about what you do in those moments. You can use any of these practices to check in for those. So you can reflect during your attendance or your check-in or check-out. You can reflect during your activity progress and do a partner gratitude on who is helping you in that group work. You can do something maybe during morning meeting or a staff meeting or at the end of the week. And each of these are linked to a practice, and you will have a bit.ly to this at the end of the presentation. So you can click on any of these practices. These are free and shareable to you right now. So you do not have to join the program in order to use our practice guide. And so I just want to reiterate, all the resources will be available to you at the end. So now let's talk about what the software does at GiveThx. The software is all about giving and reflecting. And so, as I said, you can do it staff to staff or staff to student or student to student. The very basic piece of it is to give thanks. And so you'll notice that when you do that, you select somebody, you write a thank you note here, and then you can select a tag. And these tags are customizable for your learning community. So if you have principles of learning that you like to stand by in your education, in your learning community, then you're able to customize those. And they're all aligned to CASEL's competencies as well. So here you have the reflection opportunity. This is just between student and teacher. And this is a nice way to check in with your students and really just get a good sense of where they're at, especially now as we go back to a very uncertain schooling situation this school year. Now you can see students can see their strengths inventory. So when they are thanked for something, it was tagged, right? We saw those competencies before along the bottom there with the giving. And now they can see where they have strength. They also can view what they're thanking people for by competency. And this helps them to develop a sense of who they are and allows them to reflect on that. Now, teachers can monitor what's going on in the class on a weekly basis, a daily basis, really. You can see how many notes have been given, the participation rate, and you can look by class specifically and get a sense of this heat map, we call it, where you can see how kids are engaging. Are they receiving as much as they're giving? Are they giving, less than they're receiving? Have you had to remove many? And we do encourage you to monitor your students. This is a way to be proactive and really be inclusive. You can use those practices to really include students all along the way. Now, the third component of our program is the professional development. So you have the software and the curriculum, and then we offer professional development to kind of guide you along the way. The first one really helps you define SEL success in your community specifically, helps you get set up in the program and roll it out. We then offer you a special guided tour of our curriculum, really walking you through that whole scope and sequence and allowing you to explore the different lessons and make a plan for where you're going to anchor this. Is it going to be in an advisory? Is it going to be done in academic classes? And then we offer you a professional workshop on adjusting your practice and measuring impact. So really looking at what is the data in your learning community, how are people engaged in participating, and how can we look at if this has been a success and how we can grow it in our community. So let's talk about making it fit for you guys, like where, when, and how. How can we make this useful to you? So I'm going to put back this idea of the practices guide that I showed you before. So I said, you could do it at check-in or check-out or attendance. This is an easy way to think about it. So before you start to worry about where you're going to fit in the whole curriculum, you can just think about a regular practice that you do. Do you have a place where this would work? Could you do a check-in as a reflection task? Could you do partner gratitude where kids are thanking somebody that they've worked with? Maybe a thank, pair, share where they thank somebody privately and then you share out like a think, pair, share, or a group gratitude when they've worked in a larger group and they recognize someone's contribution. So consider your own role and where you can apply the giving and reflecting in your work to support this reconnecting and recovering as we go back to school. And I would love for you to share with us in the task, I'd love for you to share with us in the chat one way you feel that you might be able to use this in your learning community or in supporting the staff and your colleagues around you to either check in or recognize somebody's contributions. And again, as you're writing, I'm just going to remind you that we will be providing the resources from this webinar, and you'll get a link to that practice guide so that you can click on any of these practices and enjoy them yourself starting today. So we hear back from people that one thing they really love with the practices is to be able to check in, especially now, to ask the kids, what's something you want me to know, or what are 3 things you can be grateful for, even though you're stressed out, right? Or even though you're schooling from home and feeling disconnected. And that's a great way to check in, especially if you're doing any virtual instruction. If you're in person, it's always nice to do something live where they can interact with each other. This was designed to be used in a live classroom, but it has adapted beautifully for virtual and hybrid learning as well. So I would love to just share our resource guide with you. Here are links to all kinds of different articles and software guidelines and things for you to check out. If you want to give GiveThx a try, we welcome you to reach out to us as well if you would like any information on GiveThx. Again, you can connect right to our practice guide right here. We have the overview doc that will walk you through the program, and you can always email us. I'm Amy at GiveThx.org, and my colleague here on it is Mike at GiveThx.org, and you can also email us at info@GiveThx.org. Please do reach out to us on social media. As you can see here, we're on Twitter and Facebook. We would love for you to connect with us, ask us any questions. And if you want to set up a demo of using the software, we would absolutely love to talk with you. So what I'm going to do as soon as this is over is I'm going to send you all a recording. You should get it by tomorrow of this webinar with a link. And you can see there's a bit.ly up there in the top of the screen, and you can connect and get access to this deck and a recording of the webinar. And please do feel free to reach out and also to share with your colleagues. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll stay on for any additional questions, but I want to be mindful of your time and have a wonderful day.